Good morning. Alright, so hang on for just a second. Just Tasha, hi, how are you? Thank you for joining. Ooh. I'm doing good. And you? I just been up. I actually got up about 7. I was in here trying to finish up assignment sheets. And you know how you get started with something. Well, actually I started last night, but you get caught up with something you don't want to stop. So I kept looking at the time and I was like, if I stop now, yeah. Or if I take a break now, it'll mess up my train of thought. So I kind of finished up most of what I needed to do, because if not, I'm going to be all over the place. So yeah, that's what I was doing. Everybody has an assignment sheet, and yeah, that just keeps me on track. Sometimes I get those, okay, I'm finished, and they're not actually finished. It's just that I have not looked to tell them what to do next. So yeah, I think I'm getting ready to hand out the sheet. I usually don't, but I don't know. I might just hand them out and let them read through the sheet, because usually I just write on the board, on the whiteboard, the subject, and they can just work down the list. They know to go to the next chapter or the next page, and that's it. How many children? I have right now 5 that are still school age, 2 high schoolers and 4 wait a minute, 4, that's 5, 6, I can't even count, because I'm ready for that other one to be gone. 4 little ones, 4 elementary. It's bright out there. So I'm going to answer this question. Somebody asked me, how did I start homeschooling? And in short, really, really basic. I started when they were little, and, you know, year old, and it wasn't really, you know, back then it wasn't really homeschooling. It was just, you know, there was no really, I don't know, it wasn't defined as homeschooling, you know. I kind of knew that's what I was doing, but it just wasn't as popular. It wasn't defined. And basically what I, you know, my philosophy on children is, it's your job as a parent to teach them at home. And, you know, so that's what I did. I didn't want to leave that to somebody else or school, because, you know, you already, when you think about it, the things that you do, you are the child's first teacher. So I was already doing that. You know, I was teaching them to feed themselves, you know, from the plate and from the spoon and from the fork, teaching them how to navigate stairs, that is schooling, whether you think of it like that or not. The potty training, the cleaning up toys and things like that, just the little bitty things. All those things really do count. As far as the academics, I just started with the alphabet. I started with the alphabet. When they were in diapers, I would recite the alphabet, and that kept them still. It was more or less getting their attention to do what I needed to do, and they picked up on it. And then I moved into just, numbers and teaching them numbers. Now, as for material, the only thing I used, I'm not going to say the only thing I had, books. Books were always a big thing. I started reading to them, from the very beginning. So we always had plenty of books. Hooked on Phonics. That original Hooked on Phonics kit was the only thing that I used. And of course it has the flashcards, the alphabet flashcards. So I would start flashing the flashcards and just really quickly, because kids pick up on stuff quick. You don't have to focus, on one letter a day, or just flash them and tell them, the letter. And then you move into the sound. Instead of telling them to tell you the letter, what sound does this letter make? And they picked up on that. Back then, Sesame Street. I grew up on Sesame Street. I did let them watch Sesame Street. I attribute that to them also early reading, because it's quick. They just flash stuff really, really quickly, and them kids pick up on stuff like, lightning fast. Also, what did we do? Blue's Clues. Blue's Clues was really good for logic, and I would let them watch Blue's Clues. So, along with that, we did a lot of outside time and just exploring. What was another show? I still have a CD down here somewhere. I'm not going to pick it up, but I have it on a playlist, and it is public. Gullah Gullah Island. My kids loved Gullah Gullah Island. It was centered around a Gullah family down in South Carolina, and they did all sorts of fun things and explored things, and it brought science, it brought games, cooking, stories, just all sorts of things. The music. My kids love that. So we would always watch Gullah Gullah Island, and then they would the imagination. The kids were very creative, so my kids would want to play Gullah Gullah Island, and that's pretty much all we did. We I set up things around the house. I had different in the room, different, I would say, like centers, and they would focus on, like puzzles and shapes and a lot of open-ended stuff. We had a play kitchen, building blocks, the same things I have today. I'm not a fan of toys. I like open-ended things that they can just, use their imagination with. We had a baby doll station with the nursery and all that kind of stuff. And so that's just how I've always set up, areas. And we just went from there. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Shari. Yes, indeed. Good morning. Just Tosh said I went to homeschool, but I worried about their college applications later, like what they would need in order to get in if I didn't go to a physical school. You can go to hslda.com. Homeschooling is not exclusive. They're not excluded from college. In fact, many, it's just it's more popular nowadays, but many people got into college being homeschooled. So they're more apt to accept a homeschooler than, a public school child. And some of them are more, say, like a Christian college or university. They're more giving of homeschoolers. So they hand out more scholarships very easily. Because not everybody wants to go Christian-based college or university. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but they do have certain standards that the children have to, adhere to. And some of them are just, not to say that they're, bad or bad morals or anything, but it's a very strict environment. So it's pretty much the same process, just like a diploma. You issue your diploma, you do your transcripts and things like that. Those things are accepted among, all colleges and universities. They don't discriminate. A lot of states do require testing, so they're your tests right there. And you just include those tests into your college applications. Working on their minds. Yes. And so we did a lot of things with music. I would put on music and let them draw to music. So we had art and music at the same time. They would draw to the rhythm of the music. I've always been a very crafty person. So we did a lot of crafts. We did a lot of projects. I didn't follow anything. A lot of stuff I just made up on my own and let them, work with it. We got messy. We got dirty. And it was just fun. I'll let the kids kind of decide, what they wanted to do. And that was it. Like I said, once they got around 2.5, and we had been working on pretty much the phonics, I opened up the book and I said, read this. And that's what they did. They read. And it was just that simple. And I just repeated the process right on down the line. And they opened the book and they read. And okay, it worked. I didn't have to struggle. I didn't have to stress. I did that with every other child that came along. If somebody asked me, how did you teach your children to read? Same thing. Bring them here. Let me show you. And it didn't take long at all. It was literally a couple of lessons, if even that. Because the process that I used, the method that I used, there was no way that they were struggling in any way. It was something that they knew. I just had to show them how to apply what I had been showing them. And that was it. Really, it's just like potty training. You can teach a child to read in a week. It's just a consistency and the method that you use. It's going to be as hard as you make it. You don't need all the fancy bells and whistles and things like that. There were no, we had, there were flashcards and things like that, but I didn't use those picture word flashcards. It was just the words. I wanted to see if they were really reading it, basis, what was in that book over looking at a picture. And yeah, they were actually reading the words. And so we just continued to read, books. I always read them, quality books, just not anything twaddle. They always had morals and values in them. And they appreciated those over, the cartoony type books. Yes, those may be fun and, inexpensive, but my kids wanted quality. So that's what I did. Oh, that truck is loud outside. We did a lot of part time. Good morning, everybody. Hey, Sylvia. We moved to an area where, actually a whole state, we didn't know anybody, and so we didn't know anybody. I would, in the grocery store, I would meet people. I would see people with children, and I would just, the child would, kids wave at you, strike up a conversation, and meet people that way. And I met somebody one time in the store, and she had a little girl that, ironically, her daughter had the same name as one of mine, and they were about the same age. And we started to talk, and they didn't have, they didn't know many people either. And we lived in a small-ish town, city, and we just began to talk and, became friends. And she actually started a play group because she was looking for somebody for her daughter. And we got together, and I invited other friends that I met. I'm trying to think, how did I meet them guys? It's been so long. I don't know where I met them. Gosh, I have to think back. But yeah, great friends. And we would all go to this play group and hang out and things like that. And then I had a couple of friends of mine that lived 3 cities, but they were all literally within 5 minutes of each other. And what we did was we brought in other friends as well, but that turned into, we would rotate each other's homes one day a week. And one day, every mom took a turn leaving. So we had a 2-hour play group. We would drop our kids off for 2 hours and leave and go do whatever. And so that gave us a lot of free time. So, nobody was charging anybody or anything like that. We just knew that we needed some free time, and that was a way to get it. And the kids, knowing that the kids were safe, the kids were doing fun things. And that was, the same thing I was doing at home. They were also doing, the little activities, the little shows, the little, projects, lunch, snacks, things like that. And so, just like-minded, we made it fun and educational. And, if we wanted to go run an errand, if we wanted to go, grocery shopping or out to lunch, or just go take a nap, but who wants to take a nap when you have 2 free hours, yeah, go to the movies, something we would not normally be able to do. So I always encourage people to barter, because you never know, if you confine yourself and say, I don't have anybody, there's somebody. And I'm trying to think what else. If it was a park, it was the same thing. We would go to the park, and, that parent would leave, and that worked. Sylvia says, hey, sent you an email just to see if you get it. Okay, I will check. I have not checked yet. In fact, let me see if I can just hop over here for just a second and check. I know my phone is full of everything, so I might not have gotten it yet. Hold on, let me check over here and see if I can just search it. Sometimes I have to physically go to my email. If it's full, it won't come through, and it is full, and it's taking forever. I see. Hold on, let's see. No, I still see my email. And this is my email that I sent. It say their inbox is full or something. Let me see. I'm gonna check my spam box right quick. How do you work this thing? I don't know how to work this stuff. Spam. I have so much junk in here. Let's see. Okay. Yep. It says test. I got it. It was in my spam box. Yep. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to reply to this. Oh my goodness. I cannot type. Okay. All right, I just sent it back. So it's cute, but it should go through. Go back over here to my screen. There we go. 9:30. And my kids will be getting up pretty soon, wanting to eat. Okay. There we go. Now I'm back in. Makes sense, says just Josh. Trying to fix my email. Okay. You got it. Okay. So yeah, there we go. In my spam box. Yeah, sometimes I have to physically go and search the person's name in order to pull it up because it won't come up if I'm not actually in my email. I'm happy. I'm so happy. Girl, thank you. So now you got it. But see what else I did. Like I said, I didn't do, it wasn't anything fancy. It was just things that I did on my own to help them out. And reading, reading was all I really, focused on, because to me that was that's the most important thing, when you are homeschooling, is to teach a child how to read properly, efficiently, and effectively. So many things can go wrong if you don't, the method that you choose is not solid. And what happens is the child is calling words, and you're saying they're reading, and they're not actually reading, they're calling words. The boy is happy. That's calling words. You need to, in the fluency, the boy is happy. Put it all together. Same thing with the comprehension. A lot of people say my child can read, XYZ level, and they're only, whatever. A child may be able to read that high, a couple grades above their actual age level, but are they comprehending? And a lot of times, no, they aren't. And the fluency is low. It takes them a long time to read. I can give my child a 60, 70, 80 page chapter book. He can read that book in a day. No pressure. So, if the child is, their fluency is low, it doesn't mean they are reading. Yeah, they may be reading, but that is what is called struggling. And it goes back to the method in which you taught them. They should not struggle. Yes, they may come across a word or two that they do not know, and that's, a given. They should not struggle with it. If you have taught them, they will be able to decode and sound out that word. But if it's every other word that they're, having problems with, they're reading on too high of a level. I'm trying to see, did we do anything? Now, we did do curriculum. In fact, it was a box around 2-ish for a little bit, and that was only because I taught. One of my kids was in my class. So, yeah, we taught it. And it was, it was a good thing. But, again, this can be done without, you don't need a box to teach you. You don't need fancy stuff. Flashcards, you have to be very leery. I have still to share about the flashcards. If you guys watched the other day, I shared all the ones that I'm getting rid of and all the ones I kept. I think it was probably about 10 packs, 12 packs. I don't know, but I think I only kept about 4. All right, 3 and done. Because they are incorrect. Matter of fact, I have one as an example to show you they're cute. I'm not recommending them, but my child knows how to read, so that's the only reason why I use them. For a child that does not know how to read, you don't want to use that. You want to use just basic. See, these are still out. Those are hooked on phonics ones. Let me see if I can show you just a quick example. Let's see if it's in here. Find a good one because this is usually nope, it's not in this pack. Dang, I don't feel like getting up to get one either. So I'm gonna have to save it. But yeah, you have to be careful with the kind of flashcards that you use. J E J. And I've seen teachers do the same thing. They will, a teacher, watching a classroom tour, another teacher will let a teacher know, hey, you need to look at this letter. You need to change the picture for the letter. And they're like, oh my goodness, you know what? I didn't realize that, because it makes a difference. Let me see. I don't know what I did that over here. Let's see, alphabet. This one. Alphabet. See if I can show you in this one. think both of these came from Target, if I'm not mistaken. You see that? The problem with this is you want to teach a child short vowels, short sounds when you're teaching them, especially vowel sounds. First of all, don't start with the vowel sounds. Vowels are not important. But unicycle, wrong picture. Wrong picture. You want to have umbrella. Okay? So, obviously those I did not use. Those were just for, you know, like I say, once they learn how to read. Because you can really mess a child up like that. Phonics. I'm going to show you another one. I know it's, so that was the bad one. I said I had to, these are the ones I'm getting rid of. But make sure I film what I need to film before I need to get rid of them. Let's see. It's another one. Okay, I'm going to show you this. That one. Let's see. Okay. Good morning, 3 and done. What does this say? Oops, I just made this one really work. Hooked on phonics. Yes, hooked on phonics really does work if you know what you're doing. X-ray. Wrong picture. Because most of the time they're going to get X as a Z sound. That's going to confuse them. So you or no, other way around. You want the X-ray because most of the time they're going to get the X as the X sound and not the Z sound. I'm sorry. But yeah, that was the problem in these. And these are the ones that came from Teach at Daycare. So, but I see that in a lot of them. They have the same, you know, it's the xylophone. It's always the xylophone picture. And I'm like, okay, let me see if it's in this one. Oh, here's a good one. Soft G. Soft G, you really want to be careful with. Gum. You want to get gum. You want to get, giraffe. Because they're hearing the J sound. So they're going to give you the J sound. And so that will trip them up. I don't know if it's in this one. I think it's gum in this one. In these. Yeah, gum is in this one. So most of my books, most of the books, the reading curriculum I have, this is what they will see, not giraffe. I'm trying to find, I think it is in this one. This one's turtle. This one has umbrella. But then we go to unicorn. And all the words on the back. But the deal with these cards is they give you both. So, of course, this is the one I used. Or this is the one I used first. The short vowels. Okay. Because they have to learn how to distinguish. I don't have, this one actually has some blends in it. You don't want to introduce. I always left these digraphs out in the beginning. You don't want to give a child that. Okay, I don't have it. I don't know where the one is I was trying to show you, but T. Most of the time in a T card, they will give you a picture of a tree. Don't use it. Because what happens is you're trying to teach the child the T sound, which is T, not T. And the picture is tree. So they're getting tr. That will really confuse a child if you're trying to teach T and they're looking at tr. And you tell them T. T, M, D. T, M, D. Not D. So those little tips right there really can save you a lot of time. It's the way you pronounce things. It's the way and that's the way the kids translate. If you starting them off that way and you don't fix it, that's going to lead up to a lot of problems right there. And I think all of these T cards have turtle. But I've seen plenty of them with trees and trains and all kinds of stuff. You don't want those until that child knows how to read. Good morning, Vicky. Second grade, I asked her, why don't you read with the children? She said, I don't have to. Then she walked out of the classroom. I went behind her and told her that is her job. Yes, exactly. I don't know a teacher that does not. Wow. I have a 9-year-old reading on a second grade level. That's my next door neighbor. Is she not? Yeah. And she's not. She's actually on kinder pre-K. My goal is for her to be reading on the 3rd grade level by this summer. He has some issues health-wise. This is super helpful. Yeah, you have to go back to the beginning. And like I said, it's for us, I have something completely different. Okay. Our brown children. Very careful. I'm a stickler about this Ebonics thing. I know, and it didn't even start with us. Okay. It didn't start with us because Mr. and Master, all of that, yeah. But our children, the more melanin that you have in your skin, the more deeply you hear sounds. Fly in here. So yeah, these kids translate things a lot differently. Okay. Now, not turning this into a color thing, but what I noticed in a lot of children, the less melanin they have, the more speech problems they have. Just a general observation. I see a lot of our Caucasian children that are 4 and 5 years old, that they're the speech is very poor and their parents don't do anything about it. And it's like, when they're pronouncing their T's as F's, that type of thing. It's like, okay, don't you hear, can you correct that? But I see that a lot. And somebody else was telling me that one time, when a couple of my older kids were little, and they were probably about 4, and they said, my neighbor's kids are 4 and they don't even talk this well. What do you And I'm like, wow. And I just, it's just general observation, but I noticed that a lot, and I started doing some research on it, and I found the correlation, um, with the melanin thing. So it's very important. Don't, the ebonics thing, don't, because it's just going to lead to more problems. When you speak to people, even if you're around family, I know it's kind of hard to, you want to use the slang and all of that, but it's really important. Um, that's the reason why I use good literature as well, because it really helps them. They understand how words are actually supposed to be used, how they sound, properly. Somebody's up, maybe. That leads on to the writing. I see so much. It's kind of heartbreaking. Here, my child is not ready, or no, yeah, my child is not ready, or my child does not like to read, or write. And I'm talking kids that are 8 and 9 years old. Okay, when are they going to be ready to write? What are you doing? They're not ready. They don't like to. We don't like to do a lot of stuff, but we have to do it. So, they're not having a child write. I'm looking at a 9-year-old, 6 words in a sentence, okay? 2 of the words were misspelled. And I'm like, and the handwriting was run on sloppy. So when I see stuff like that, that just kind of, it's like, what are you doing? That is first grade, kindergarten stuff. Break the habit in the beginning before they start.
When you're done, take me wash my monkey.
Oh, okay. I will do that. You have to break it. You have to break it. They can be taught. You have to have patience. It's not anything hard. Same thing with the handwriting. I got them. I know when you're using a workbook, it is very different from writing on paper. In the beginning, handwriting is it's just a developmental process, but the lines are so small, you get a little fill in the blank, and it's hard for the kids to write. So the writing is going to be different. But I see a lot of, the words are running together. After they get past kindergarten, do not let those children write those words together. You need to teach them about spacing, because they're going to start to read those words the same way that they wrote them down. If you say, what did you write? They're going to read them the same way. It's another reason why I don't advocate trying to start the child on cursive. They need to learn how to print. That's what they're going to be, exposed to more often. I need to also note that she reads at grade level to herself and had great comprehension. That's awesome. When she reads to me, that's when she struggles. I know a lot of tape recorder, voice recorder on your phone or on on your computer, microphone. You need to somehow be able to record her reading, and so that she can hear herself back. That really, really helps. That's the reason why I advocate that Hooked on Phonics, the original one, because they are hearing the lady read the stories to them. And so, we kind of play it by ear. It's like, do you want to hear the tape, or do you want to just read this on your own? We go back and forth. They don't have to listen to it. My older kids will tell you, we got tired of hearing that lady. We didn't like her voice. So they just did it on their own. But it is really important when you find that a child is not pronouncing the words, or they're reading too fast and skipping words. Like I had that problem with him. He's the super reader, but he would read straight through the punctuation, and I'm like, dude, you need to slow down. I know you can read that fast, but slow down. So very high fluency, but I have to teach him, and that's what that thing does. Listen to this tape, listen to the rhythm. And that's another reason why they like me to read to them, so they can get the rhythm of the reading. You have to talk and read to your baby. They are babies. Yes. She learned to read at 7 in the first grade. That's why we pulled her from public school. Yeah, they don't really teach them the reading because, kids come in and they don't even know alphabet, some of them. So, they cannot start them on reading right away. They have standards. Yeah, they have to push it because they have to get those little their assessments and things done, but it doesn't mean that the child is fluent or anything. In the first grade, that's the other teacher's job to get them, and that's when they start differentiating the children, if they're struggling, if they're this, if they're that. And what happens in the public school, there are teachers that are qualified to deal with certain children. If they're above level, they will put those children with that teacher. If they are struggling, that teacher is qualified to deal with a struggling child. So it should be even keel. A lot of times, the teachers know what they're dealing with. Yeah, spacing, I am on that. Yeah. So you want to be careful with the spacing. And that's the reason why I don't say sit down and write, all of this. My kids can write a page of something, but we started one word at a time. I want you to space this out, one word at a time. And that gave them, because if I cannot read it, I'm not worried about how fast you can get it done. If it takes all day, which, it shouldn't, but I don't want you to just rush for the sake of rushing. I need to be able to read it. I'm not sure if parents are wanting these kids to go to college or anything like that, but especially the ones that have to report to the state. If I'm the state and I'm looking at that work, I'm like, what are you doing? I can't even read this, and you accept this? I don't accept that. I don't want too many erases. If the letter is not formed properly, let's stop. I want a perfect letter. I don't want a perfect word. I want a perfect letter. We're going to go letter by letter, word by word. I know, I'm different from a lot of people. A lot of people do not put that much, effort and time, but I see a lot of people really do, and it makes a difference. It really makes a difference. So I don't rush them. We do stuff like they do their copy work every day, but things like actually writing a literature assignment, that's something we do one day. I don't set out to do anything else because it takes a long time. I have to work with all of them. And if I'm worried about, okay, we need to get through this so we can move on to math, that's just going to throw everything off that I've done. And I've seen great progress in their handwriting and their ability to actually write their own stories. So I'm not going to rush to try to make it to something else. That's it. When we finish, take a break, we'll get to something else, later that day. And it doesn't stress them out. So some things, like I say, the workbooks is really hard, and I accept the feeble handwriting. But even them, I will see them write something and erase it because they see that they can't read it. But I don't try to put too much emphasis on these workbooks because it's hard for them to write. I'm giving them paper with lines, and we are still using, the 3-line papers. I had a public school teacher tell me that penmanship wasn't that important anymore because they will end up keeping. That's not true. That is not true. And everybody knows that because when you get to college and you have to, first you really need to know how to write. But when you're signing documents, hello, you're not electronically signing those things. When you're filling out applications, you have to actually physically fill those things out by hand. And if the person cannot read it, it's going in the garbage. So, and I had one that we had to do, tests to test the bone age in the hand because it was, very poor and weak. And, even with that, we had to determine that I think the child was 5, almost 6, and still the bone age was like early 5. So it wasn't that bad. It was just, but some people make an excuse. My child doesn't like to write. Spend more time with that child writing. Spend more time. There's no, because they have to write. I don't understand. They don't like to. You're letting them get off, and I'm looking at, like I say, I'm looking at these 8, 9, 10-year-old kids can't even form a proper sentence. The words are spelled wrong. You got capital letters in the middle of the sentence. And I see that so much, and I have to overlook it because it bothers me to, see something like that. And it's like, why don't you even care about that? Acknowledge it. Is this acceptable? Are you just working to get through the day? I know penmanship. Yeah, used to be a category on the report cards. Yeah. Yep, indeed. I remember in the 5th grade, my teacher was such a stickler. We had the cornbread tablets. That's what they used to call them. Like the manila, the 3-line. You guys know what I'm talking about. That you start in the big fat red pencils. Because she was not allowing us to make anything. She was, for her brown children. I went to an all black school. Okay. And she was not going to let us. She just did not accept poor quality at all. There was no, your handwriting is going to be up there. When I questioned her about some of the new math they were using, I told her it's not about faster and easier, and the numbers are bigger. She said they'd be using calculators by then. Yeah. Some of the kids don't even know how to use the calculator. Cornbread. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Matter of fact, I have one right. Guys, that's what my mom used to call them, and I'm like, what? But yeah, the little cornbread tablet. I don't know, country folk. Where is? Wait, whose basket do I have? I'm like, I know everybody has one. You must be in the wrong basket because I just saw that somebody had theirs out using it. Let me see. Oh, here it is. Right here. I don't know. I guess because it's brown, but y'all know what these things are. I have no idea. These little things. And so this is how I start them out. Let me show you something. This is way back from, don't have a day. Oh, 2015. So Layla would have been, when was they born? She was early 5. Well, no, she wasn't even 5. Let's say 2000. She was born in November. This is a 4-year-old handwriting. Okay, and I see, look at the letters. Not bragging, but this is really good for a 4-year-old. I know somebody front here. Where? If I can get the camera to pick it up, but there's the date. So, yeah, for a 4-year-old, this is some good stuff. And the only thing I did was write the first, that's my handwriting, and that's her handwriting. I just wrote the word one time and let them do that. And it wasn't, they're going to write a whole line. They just wrote one word a day. And that's what I did. So, yeah. And the spacing, if you guys paid attention, the spacing was good. It wasn't, jumbled up on top of each other. Let's see. This says 2016. So again, you can see her letters are more formed, less shaky. So yes, handwriting skills are important. You do not want to rush that child. And so one word at a time has produced them to writing pages. There are a lot of things that you can use. I'll just put that back in the wrong basket. You can use to help with the handwriting, like the left-handed one, I use the highlighter technique because she's left-handed and stuff like that. But it's a matter of not rushing it, not accepting the sloppy. If you accept one bad word, poorly written word, then they're going to continue to do that. Baby, he spit up on you. Oh, no. So, and I was just thinking about that. Did I have some samples, from some stuff I kept, from a long time ago to show the progress of, the progression of their handwriting. So, I don't think I had, I don't know who folder that is. I don't have any. Oh, wait a minute. She has a different one. Did I write this? Let me see if I wrote this or she wrote this. Nope, this is Zion's and this is old. Did she write this? I can't remember if she wrote this. She was 3 when she did this. I gave her one of these kind of tablets. It's a composition book. So, yeah, it's a matter of most of common. This is the, you can find these pretty much anywhere, but you can also print this paper out. I think I had just happened to find this paper, these tablets, a whole, probably 12 or something, for like $2. So that's how I ended up with those. But this is Science, the 4-year-old spelling book. And so the lines, I was talking about, the lines are different. These lines happen to be very big. But this is a 4-year-old. And she just started really writing. She likes to write when she wants to write, but doing, book type stuff. So she's getting there. It's a progression. Some things sometimes she may switch, like the Z in her name, it may be backwards, but she does get it. You said, how do boys? Pull up that same book. If I think he has his in here. Same little tablet. It's falling apart, but okay. Same lesson. This is my son's. Now, he is very neat. He is very, very neat in his writing. I don't want to say he writes better, but he writes better than the girl. My older son, no, because he's the one that had the issues with the hand. But yeah, this son, he's very neat. He's the one that takes his time. He makes sure everything is properly formed. And stuff like that. So I don't have to worry about, if he sees something sloppy, he will stop and fix it. Let's see. This is from, this says 123. This is from last month. This is My writing is on the top and their writing is on the bottom. So this is an example of my son's. So again, you see those letters touch each line. There's nothing erased because they work really hard. If they have to erase it, the only thing I can see here is the W is a little wide, but I mean, look at that. It's hard for me to do this. So, like I said, I give them one word. I might write all the words, but if I see them struggling or the letters are not touching the lines that they should, I make them stop right there. This is same lesson. This is Layla's. So, that's how we do it. I'll give you an example of the 4-year-olds. They do this all on their own. There's no hand over hand. There's no highlighters on these. You see some of these she has not done, but you know, she's 4. So I'll let her do what she wants to do. And this is the left-handed child. So next year, you know, the end of the year, and this is the one I've seen great progress in, considering that it's really difficult for me to help her. The end of the year, you know, I share this stuff throughout the vlogs anyway, so it's for you to look at how their handwriting actually is. So if they're capable of doing it, these are 4 different children. Other children are capable of doing this. I'm not saying that, you know, we're goody-goody, but if they're capable of doing this, any child is capable of doing this. It's the method that you use. This is a actually it's more than 1 paragraph, but they had to do it over 3 days. So they did 1 sentence a day. So, there's no drawing on here, but it's a drawing on there. So and stuff like this, you can, if you have what do you call that stuff? Any kind of print, Word, notepad, whatever, you can make that kind of stuff up. These actually go with the McGuffey readers. But you can make stuff up like that in your Word documents and stuff like that. Let's see. And then, like I said, the paper you can print. Let me show you. This came from writing paper. Let's see. No, this came from allkidsnetwork.com. Free writing paper. And you just go in and set, because you can set the lines to how you want. Some of these are different. They're smaller. And then you can do like this. I can't tell you how I ordered these, but some of them, the lines are smaller than the other. I think that last page is smaller, inch-wise. So we do a lot of this. I will just print this paper out when I want them to do stories and stuff like that. Here you go. Here's your story paper, because I want it to be neat. But they are working their language arts. They work in spirals, so it is a little bit different, but they're working on it because it's only the 2 lines. Yeah, I thought, you know, keep a lot of printable paper around because it really helps to to use that type of paper. And there's no special, they have the little grippers on their pencil. It's not the, they just have basic grippers. But yeah, there are things that you can use to, to help the fingers. But really, exercise, get them outside running, jumping, and things like that. That helps with their fine motor. So now my older girls, they are neater, with the handwriting. And, that's just something that they learn. I think some of them write better than me. Print wise. And that's just because my hands, I have carpal tunnel on my hands. I'm trying to find, I don't know where my clipboard is. I did have something that oh, here it is. One of my older girls wrote. And so I'm like, man, when I was in school, I didn't write that neat. Let's see if I still have this paper on here. Oh, here it is. But it's a matter of practice. Now I can, when I do my cursive, I can, depending on what I use, I can write neat. So this is one of my older girls' handwriting. I can't write that neat. If I'm printing, it don't come out like that. So I must have done something right though. Something right. But if I use my my Sharpies, I can print really neat. And I can do cursive really neat. But with pen, regular pen, ooh, this rain has got me so messed up. Y'all, we had a storm the other night. But if I use a regular pencil, it won't come out as neat. So, yeah, it's all about taking your time and, being diligent with it. So, like I say, those words, I give them about 15 minutes to work on that list of words, and I just watch them and see, sometimes I just let them do it because I'm doing other things, honestly. But if I see that the word is, some letters are off, I stop them. And if I don't stop them, they catch themselves and just, fix it because they know I'm not going to accept it. And it's not I don't punish them or anything. I just stop them. Okay, that's enough. Let's move on to something else. But they're not sitting there writing, long things. Even when we're doing the narration, if they can't get through the whole narration in one sitting, we break it up. But usually they're on to that to where they can get through the narration, which is really only 6 lines. So, when I hear somebody say, my child doesn't like writing, maybe you need to change the genre. Give them something that they are interested in. And, because that's just standard. A child should be able to write. Whether they like it or not, they should be able to sit down and write. You need to, have papers, paragraphs and things, essays that they are doing, because what else are you doing? You teach them grammar and mechanics and all of that. They need to be able to apply it. It's easy to go in through a workbook and fill out answers, but if they cannot apply it, that's useless. So the little reading workbook went through all the grammar and the mechanics and, all of that. And so now they are able to use that in writing their own things. I don't have to worry about the spelling of the words and, things like that, because they've learned that. So, I was sitting here just thinking about that, grateful, not to knock anybody, on material, but I use very high quality material for a reason, and I see the product, and then I watch other people and I see the product, and it's like, maybe that's acceptable, but not over here, because it just makes me wonder. Let me show you guys something in this math book that just really made me look. that they have coming up. Now, talk about the math. I see other people's math. I've seen, lots of math. And I just, I say it's not up to par. Some people turn their heads and their noses, and you're this and you're that. It's a reason why I pick what I pick. Okay? And my kids tell me, we need to be challenged. Okay? You guys know this is math curriculum. I just, the way this curriculum is set up, wow. Now, this is what they have coming up. I think I left off way before multiplication, showing you guys. But this is what's coming up tomorrow, actually. Or maybe the next day, just depending on how we work it. They're working on money. Look at this at the bottom of this page right here. Look at what they have to do. Okay, I can't really read it. Let's see. They have to computate that table. That's what, 4 or 5 problems. But I have not seen anybody's material that really challenges a child. This is 2nd grade, like this. This is not basic math. Because I was looking at this like, what? We didn't have this in 2nd grade. So they have to figure out all the denominations and then, the amounts. And basically at the bottom, that in the corner over there, this is 100 pennies. It's going to be $100. It's like, I'm going to see, I'm very curious to see how they do on this. Because it's a lot. This is not basic stuff. And so many other things that I see, I'm like, well, dang. They would get past that in 5 minutes. It doesn't do anything for them. So, yeah. Let's say 50 pennies, and then they have to figure out what 50 dimes is equal to, 50 nickels, 50 quarters, 50 silver dollars. So, yeah. And then they go on to figure out the denominations, like 25 dimes, 25 quarters. 60 quarters. I mean, does anybody have anything? I mean, I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. But if anybody does have anything like this in their kids' books, in their math curriculum, I'm curious. I want to know, because I've not seen anything like this. The stuff that I see in the 2nd grade stuff, the books, or even, 3rd grade or below, it's not that challenging. It's very simple. But this book does a good job with, this curriculum does a good job with just higher level thinking and things like that. The way it gets them to solve things, it really is challenging, but it's nothing that they cannot do, because they have worked them to understand how to do this. So, that is that, the wheel. Like I said, we'll get to that this week, and then we'll be finished with that. We have been working on, I think after the money is, they have been working on time and money. And then it goes back into, what is this, double-digit addition and subtraction, which they already, they know how to do it. So they kind of been working ahead. But, that's it. And then the thing I haven't shown in the back of this book is it goes chapter by chapter. We're really actually almost done. But in the back of the book, chapter by chapter, and it does a review. I don't know if that I'm actually going to use that. because the curriculum itself did such a good job. I don't think they really need it. It would just be more busy work. I may give it to them for morning work if they want to do it, but I don't think they need it. But I like that it is included. They go back from the beginning. I guess maybe if I use it as an assessment, it may work. But I was looking at this, and still the math lessons. Math lessons, the level 1 is basically, what do you call that? Place value. This book starts there, but it moves very quickly. And that book does not teach, that curriculum doesn't teach a whole lot of stuff. So we're just, like I said, we're still using it more or less for handwriting, but the stuff that's in this book, I can transition from the Texas math and the little ones. They're not gonna have any problem. Whereas that math lessons for living education, there's gaps in it. Oh, I thought they had to calculate what the value. I turned the page. Let me see. What 100 pennies was equal to in dime. Yeah, that's what it is. And 20 nickels, $1. Yeah, it goes all the way up. Yeah, 100 dimes. So, like I said, that's a challenge, and that's not a that's not a challenge problem. That's just a normal problem. So they are going to have a lot of fun with that. But again, I've not seen anything that brings concepts in that method. So I'm just curious. I want to see how that lesson goes for them. We use I like that chart, says Vicky. We use our State's math book and Khan Academy. Yeah, we're still working. The little ones are still working on the state math, and what they're doing now is graphing. And the math lessons does not have the graphing, and we had already introduced it. And so I'm working, in that, and then the math lessons is just a supplement. Whereas in this book, the first lesson, and I did share this from the first lesson, they started out with was using bar graphs. So they really enjoyed this. And then this is a lesson that had Layla's name in it, so she was really excited. But that's why I said two different, it's very interesting to see how the curriculums differ from each other. And this one brought I needed multiplication and division, and it brought it quick. The other curriculum I was looking at brought the concepts at the end. They were going to be bored for the whole year if I waited to introduce, or I introduced the multiplication, but get them working in it in the division. They would have been bored all the way until, probably the spring. And so I said yes. When they redesigned it, even though it was still the same way, they just changed up some things in this edition. I was excited that it was just going to be right off. That's cool. Violet is working on the same thing, and she's 8, right? Three and done. She's 8, or is she? Is she 9? She's 9. So, man, some of the things just kind of really work around it. It's the same thing with the with the writing of things. I'm very careful about how the kids write things. I was looking at something, somebody was comparing. I have a lot of stuff I'm just wanting to share, but why am I dropping all my Sharpies? I'm just, I'm trying to figure out, is it even worth it? Because I see that not everybody is on the same, agenda. They don't share the same passion. They don't care. They're just picking up things and using it. And, I don't know if it's worth it to share what I'm doing, how I'm doing, to a certain degree. I'm feeling like I need to just go, no, 6. Okay. I'm thinking, okay, she's 6. I'm thinking the other one. I'm thinking maybe I need to just go basic with stuff. Because I see basic, that's what everybody's watching and they're fine with it. I don't need to share all of the, everything. Everybody's content with basic. It's more or less entertainment. And I've been here sharing different kind of tips and things that really help. But I've seen so much still have that in there. So much just basic. Somebody was sharing some stuff like this. Lily, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. No, honey, don't change it. This is not curriculum. I don't know how many times I've seen the video and just want to pick up a book and just throw it. This is not curriculum. This is a supplement. It's a supplement. So many people have that curriculum, and then I'm waiting to watch, honestly, and this is what I see, and I'm like, that's not even a curriculum. I don't even encourage buying things like this, even though it is even more. When you are buying curriculum, curriculum is what I just showed you, the math book, that is curriculum. You don't need a supplement until you see that maybe that book, if you've gotten a book and you really didn't get a chance to look through it, you watch somebody and didn't get a chance to look through it, and it just is not doing what you need to fast enough, or it doesn't, the concepts are shallow, then you want to introduce a supplement. But you don't want to go buy your curriculum for the year and then start buying all this junk, because half the time you don't use it. This stuff would come in, maybe I was after something and people would throw this stuff in for free, and so I have some things like this. Somebody needs this, I have this on PDF. This book is blank, but I have the PDF, so I can send you the PDF of all of these, I think all the way up to 6th grade. This compared to what we're doing in spelling is no comparison. This is not a spelling book to me. This is like, I don't know. It doesn't do a lot. I think it's broken down by 5 days, but it doesn't do a lot. But some people I see accept stuff like this as spelling, and I'm like, really? And this is a $20 book. But it just does not do. It has basic the concepts. I think it's broken down. You do one thing a day or something like that. Just fill in the boxes. It's a visual memory. You get a spelling list, and then you write the spelling word, and then it has correct the sentence. But it's boring and redundant. So I had it, and I thought, oh, I could use this. And, for the little one, their spelling book is a lot more complex, and it does a lot more for them. It really makes them think. They're working on the antonyms, the synonyms. They're working on analogies, different kind of skills. It's higher level thinking, even though it may be the same grade. And they don't want to do that. So those are, things that I don't recommend. But like I said, if you want something like that, I can send you the PDF. There's another one that became redundant like that. Oh, this everyday literacy. And it tells you, if you guys open these books, like I said, read the stuff. This is not a curriculum. This is a supplement. These are called supplements. Even the spectrum, those are called supplements. But this became very redundant. They didn't need the the their reading book did what they needed. They didn't need the extra, practice and skill and things like that. I think even this probably was. It didn't. Oh, the price is out. This is Lakeshore. It probably was $20, but I think I got this book for $1. So, and with us, because we school year round and we don't do TV, I needed more stuff like this to kind of fill in gaps, if that makes sense, but not really, give them something to do educational. That's what I like to do. So it wasn't so bad, but when it became so redundant, they didn't want to do it anymore. So I'm like, okay, if you can understand this and you figured out how to do it, then there's no point in trying to continue what it is doing. But it's kind of the same thing. You fill in the box with the letter one day, and then the next day you look at a picture and find the words that have that sound that it's giving you. Now the phonics part, if you phonics for a little one, the kindergarten one is different. I think my 5-year-old really likes that one, so I let her work through that one. But yeah, you don't want to bring stuff like that when you really don't need it. But that's what I'm seeing, and I'm just kind of wondering, am I showing too much? Is it too much? I think you should just be you the way you are. If you try to show stuff and you don't use it, it's not that we don't use it. Then it wouldn't be okay. You wouldn't be cheating. Yeah, it's not that we don't use it. It's like I say, it become redundant. They got all the way through the book. I didn't buy another one. I'm just like, we're not going to use that anymore, because it just it served its purpose through the book. We didn't just open the book and stop doing it right off, but it served its purpose. I found that they, the way they were learning, the other things that I was giving them, the higher quality, did more than that little stuff right there. So, like the, the Spectrum math books and stuff like that, it's just basic math facts. And if you're looking at their math book, why do they need basic math facts when they're getting what they're getting in their math book? They don't need that. It's really working them out. That's something I can just put the problems up on the board and do that. And if all else fails, here's Hooked on Math. So, yeah, you guys didn't know that Hooked on Math it's the same thing as Hooked on Phonics. It goes all the way up to multiplication and division. So, I can drill them on facts if I want to. Exactly. You and I are on the same page. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I have to, I have different expectations is what I see. And some people just don't understand that. They just think I'm doing too much,
I'm doing something.
You're doing something?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Nothing. I'm bored.
You're bored?
Yeah.
Pick that book up down there on the floor. So, yeah. You're bored. I try to do and try to share, outside of the box, not just basic, standard, video, and offer as much tips and things that I can. Not saying that, this is going to work for your family or whatever, but it's pretty standard. It's not something by the book. It's something that's going to help anybody, in the way you apply it. You're bored. So that's what you have to do because you're bored. You need to go to, you only have a few minutes on there. because you want to just use the thing and nobody else can use it. Go to social studies and do something over there after you log in. Do a biography or something. That way you can have that out of the way. So he's over here on ABC Mouse trying to do something. And I will give you something else to do. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah. I don't know. But I try to be objective when I see things, but again, I'm not the only one that sees, what's going on, because people will call people out all the time, on their stuff, this child, they don't know what are you doing, and it's bad. It's really bad. So I'm one of those that I was taught, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. But it just kind of makes me wonder, the quality, that you would accept this, because even in school, a teacher wouldn't accept it. It's like, you're at home and you have all the time in the world. Why are you accepting this? Is it that stressful to where it just doesn't matter? I was somebody had to wake me up with a text telling me I think I'm better than everybody else. And I think maybe they thought my answer was going to be something crazy. But, I said that's my problem. I think I'm better than everybody else. I said, if you can tell me what my problem is, then you have too much time on your hands. Especially at 2 o'clock in the morning. When I'm asleep, you need to be asleep. Telling me about my problems. I don't tell people about the problems. I don't care about your problems. But yeah, no. I mean, the people are so, oh my goodness. When you think about writing with ease. I have looked at writing with ease. I think, for those that really need the guidance, it's very structured. It's a good program. I think more parents should look at things like that as opposed to, these little simple skill builders and stuff like that, because they really don't, they are a touch point, but you can waste time in those little touch points. You can do more on your own. You can do more. You don't, there are things that give sentence starters or story starters. Run with it. Don't just, take that and, okay, that's it. Run with it. Build on it every day. Continue it. Work on the mechanics. Work on the structure. Put in the verbs, the adverbs, the nouns, what you've been teaching them all along. And that's what I don't see. Nobody's working on those things. And it's like, you're really working them low level when they're upper level, and that's not good. It's just not good. And it shows. People see it. They may not say anything. Like I said, I'm not going to say anything ugly, but it shows. It really does show. And then they come and say, oh, well, we're doing this. And it's like, no, I've seen what you're doing. You can't possibly be doing that. The child, I see what the problem is. The struggle issue. I see why the child is struggling. You are slacking. So, I don't have the answers. I don't know everything. I'm not saying I know, I'm better than anybody. That's not it at all. That is not it at all. I just have a different mindset. I have a different standard. And, it may not work for some people. Some people, take the basic, I need this, and that's it. Oh, gosh. So, yeah, the writing with ease. What is the other one? IEW. What is the other one? Right Start. Those are very good programs. You have to be, solid in what you're doing and really want to work it. It's not, for the feeble. It's just like homeschooling. Some people take it very lightly. They just, yes, you have that privilege and that right, but then it becomes very, hold on, it becomes very laxed. And, when I go to, somewhere else and I see what somebody else is doing and they're saying the same thing, a lot of people say and do the same things, some of the same things that I do. So, yeah, um, I'm not showing off. If I see other people doing the same things and other people put the time into what they're doing because they see, the difference. True enough, you may not want that child to go to college or anything. Um, but again, they need to know, how to do certain things, how to apply it. And that's what I really look for when I'm watching people. Or, is it beneficial? Is it really helping? Or are they just working through turning the pages to get it done? Turning the pages, turning the pages. And that's what I see a lot of, turning the pages, turning the pages. I see little, with younger kids, I see more, more work, but with the older kids, they're just turning the pages. And I'm like, you know, is that what y'all want to see? I'll show you the turning the pages. I don't have to do all the, I don't have to show all that. I think done people are just showing and sharing what they're comfortable with. Yeah. And we all don't know everything. Some people are just showing what they're comfortable with. Yeah. We're all, we don't know. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve with each child. But it's very, to me, even the wrong stuff, stuff that does not come out right. I'm sharing it didn't, we didn't, somebody, the wrong, because that gives you a feel for where you could have made improvement. Don't be afraid to show this. Now, if I saw, going back to what I saw when I said I saw the 9-year-old with the 6-word sentence, and 2 of the words were misspelled. If I saw that parent point out that we need to work on this spelling, this, and this, then I would have, my mindset would have been different. But there was no mention of anything. It was brought, and I'm like, these are basic sight words. How could you let that go on like that? And I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, it just, and I know a lot of people wouldn't accept it, but it was just very unacceptable. And it was very disappointing because I thought that that person was, um, onto something else. And it wasn't. So, I kind of take into account of what they have going on in the home. And I see, why they're taking shortcuts and why, like you say, they're only comfortable sharing certain things. But again, people are very critical. People call people out all the time, and it's like, man, I wouldn't even, back it up. Be able to back it up. To be honest, you're putting all and sharing with us your tips and tricks that work over time. That's a good method. Well, thank you. um, I don't want to offend anybody, but I really would want to ask them, is this not important that they do this, or but I think maybe somebody's gonna take it offensive, and it's not really, like, I don't know. I have no idea, but I don't think I would be offended by that. I just want to know, do you not focus on the handwriting? Is that not important? When do you focus on the handwriting? The penmanship, that type of thing. Mm, that even it frustrates my kids to write, sloppily. They don't like it. So, yeah. Mm, yeah, I don't show, every single thing because I just don't have the time. But again, I'm more apt to show the I don't think everything is good that I'm putting out. It's perfect. I'm showing imperfections is what I'm saying. I'm the one that will show the imperfections before anybody. I'm not trying to be Pinterest perfect, picture perfect, Instagram perfect at all. I show the imperfections. We're all flawed. And it's when it's those that are trying to show the all perfection, that's we see the flaws and that looks more uh fake because we can already see the flaws. And it's like, why are you putting on this front? I get on to Michaela sometime. She rushing her writing when she don't want to work. Yeah, sometimes they will rush. They will rush because they want to do other things. But if you let them slip one time, it's just gonna build a um, a basis. They're gonna continue to do it, and you become kind of complacent like that. So, like I said, I gave them good things to do to just encourage them from the beginning to do whatever. When they opened up the book, as little ones to learn how to read. Okay, you read the first word, read the next word. Read the next word, read the next word. And that's what I did. And I gave them other books and said, all right, let's read this, let's read this. And a lot of things I did, I would go out and, teaching them, you want to teach them colors and shapes around the house, out at the park, just basic, very generic ways to do things. It wasn't, let me go buy this and buy that and show them this. I just pointed those things out. Pointed them out. What color is this? How big is this? What shape is this? And that's what we did. The the other stuff is really not important. Every child has experience with the you want to do the manipulatives, the shape sorter bucket. Get you one of those. You know, I would always find those things at the thrift store, but a lot of times people that's the number one toy that a child would get for a gift. Those little shape sorters. You want to do stuff like that, and that teaches them a whole lot of, you know, whatever. Give them bowls and spoons, toilet paper rolls, stuff like that, and they will build on it. How did you balance homeschooling and having babies under two? Like I said, just I would set up little areas and just let them have those little things that they can, play with and use. And they were learning. They didn't even realize they were learning, but they were actually learning. Because, yeah, with stair stepping kids, it's kind of hard. But they would hear, if I'm over the room, they would hear what's going on and just pick it up. So you want to get a bin or a shelf or, a drawer or something that you can have some, Play-Dohs and um, what do you call it? What are those things? Sensory type activities. I taught them how to make the little lava lamps. We had kids that were kind of, all kids get, hyper and, uh, need to calm down. And one of the things that we did, the group project with my friends and their kids too. We did it first, and then I had them do it. With the there actually we still have some, the water and the oil mixture and the food coloring. Those were calm down bottles. You put in the bottle and glue the top and let them manipulate stuff like that. We did stuff like that. And then we did one time an ocean in a bottle like that. So I got the sand and the shells and, just little trinkets and things like that. And those are the things that the kids held on to versus some little toy that we went out and bought at the store. It was a project they worked on, and it really does help them. So they take those same bottles. We still have some of them that I made years ago that I shared. We use those also for ring toss and for bowling. Even fractions, we talk about them in everyday life. Yeah, exactly. We spend a lot of time, splitting things and incorporating that. How the street is split in half, how the houses are lined up. Just little basic stuff that's free. By the time it shows up in the book, they already know the basic. Yeah, a lot of stuff I give them, like when I showed them the geo boards, they didn't know what that stuff was, but I just said here, and they did it, and when it show up in the book, oh wow, that's what it's for. That is what it's for. And they had no clue about geometry. They've been doing geometry since they were 1. They had no idea what it was, because they had them when they were when I had them in school. So at a year old, they were playing with those things, and they didn't know what they were.
Look.
What?
I got that.
Oh, you got that thing. You and that hamster. Now he's sitting here trying to configure this hamster contraption. And this thing. So, just give them things. It doesn't always have to be structured, but if you give them a little structure and run with it, just create things. It doesn't matter if they don't come out right. But these days, there are so many ideas and things that you can use. Even if you're not a crafty person, you can wing it. Puzzles for little Layla. Yeah, the little chunky puzzles. I would get stuff like that. I would take old containers and cut holes in the tops of them, like oatmeal containers, and let them put popsicle sticks or cotton balls and stuff like that in those things. There's a lot of homemade toys. They weren't colorful. They were just basic. I just cleaned them out and used them. I would take toilet paper rolls and fill them up with beans and rice and make little shakers. They like that stuff. You bought something else. And, rainmakers. And so when we did our music time, they would bring out their little homemade instruments, and they had a good time with that. Large family flavor. Hey, Tati. Hey, busy lady. So I think what happens is a lot of people try to overthink it. They come on and they see other people doing things, and then they try to overthink it, and that's where the problem comes in at. Don't overthink it. Know what is good for your home and what your children need. Not everybody needs, like I say, not everybody needs these supplements and things like that. That just really makes me question. I see so many with good high quality material, and then they have all these supplements. It's like, why are you having to continue to supplement that child? Is that not good enough? Well, what's wrong with it? Or is it one of these situations like us where we don't go out, we don't have TV, so we need something to keep them really, what he's doing now, off of the screen. But keep them off of the screen, keep them busy. It take a lot for me to keep them busy all day, every day. I get tired. But I used to just sit down and play with my kids. I still sit down and play with my kids. So some of the stuff, yeah, you give it to them like busy work. And just, but, they should not need a 50 different supplements. You don't need a supplement for each subject. Old bottles and formula ready to use. But yes, yep, save those things. I would even ask the school. They had, little kids daycare. Save me your baby food jars and your formula containers, and I would get that stuff and use that for all kinds of things. So you don't have to put a lot of money into, the early years. You really don't have to do it at all. I want to talk about the money I put into homeschooling. I've been thinking about that. I don't think I've ever mentioned it. I think you guys know I'm on the cheap. But I could tell you right now, I don't think anybody has ever asked me, but this whole room did not cost me more than $1,000. No joke. Not even 1,000. And that's everything in the room. Some people think you have to, the budget thing. I heard the budget thing. How do you budget the homeschooling? Y'all, I'm cheap. I'm very cheap. I'm not going to $50 this, $50 that for this person. I don't do that. I don't, if you have it like that, yeah, but I'm not going to buy IKEA furniture, any of that. I'm going to get hand-me-downs. I'm going to go to the Goodwill. I'm going to piece it together, but I save receipts. I know what I spend in this room. I know what I have. That's why I can say that safely. $1,000 for this whole room. This whole time I've been doing this. If even that. I'm trying to think. What did I buy? Okay, my printer. I didn't even buy my printer. Okay. This table that they're using and the chairs, I didn't even buy that. So I'm not even counting that. There's some big ticket items, but I didn't even buy that stuff. So I'm trying to think about the most expensive thing in here that I did purchase. I'm telling y'all, I'm cheap. Even when it comes to the curriculum. What did I buy last year curriculum-wise? Curriculum, I spent $20, $40. Because I bought those math books, y'all. And that was in September. $40 for the whole year.
No, you can't just see.
Now, if you want to throw in all the other stuff, the supplies and the, I count my ink and my other stuff like that. Laminating sheet. It's still not that much money. I'm telling you, it's not even $100 per year. I don't do a monthly thing. I don't do that. Like I say, if I have $10 and I want to go buy some books for that quarter, that's what I'm doing. That's 4 quarters. That's still only $40. So where these astronomical amounts of money come up in, I don't know, but you don't have to do all that. And I know it's cheaper than sending them, to a private school or whatever, but this has been 4 years. They've been, how old are y'all? 7?
Did you make it like that?
Going on 4 years and $1,000, and I can use it for everybody. Yeah, I did pretty good. My mom talked about getting brand new. Talked about me from getting a brand new Kiko car seat. That the value got on Facebook. A lot. Yeah, some stuff. Yeah, you want to be able to put your money where it needs to be. A car seat is something safe. I mean, you want to consider the safety of it. A lot of people do secondhand, but I don't recommend that because you don't know where it's been. If it's been an accident and people don't report it, they're supposed to be discarded. I don't ever. Some stores have states have banned the sale of the car seats because they don't know the history of them. So yeah, I could see where you want to put some money into a car seat.
There goes away, give him food.
So I just bought a brand new double stroller Kiko brand for $50. Oh wow. The value of 80. Yeah, some she never used it. Yeah, so some things, you know, you want to know really what you're getting into and is it really worth it. But me, like I said, I know my budget, my household budget, and I could never come on here and say I spent this much a year. It just because I don't have it. It just does not work like that. The whole room, my table was Goodwill, the shelves, um, all gifted, and the Target one. I didn't actually buy that one. So when I start subtracting the things and figuring out what I actually bought, that's how I came up with that price. All this stuff. I know I didn't spend that much on it. But, you know, I don't mind if I have to put money into something. You know, if I'm looking at a $40, you know, curriculum, I don't mind because, you know, I've learned how to thrift thus far and save so much. But I don't want to, you know, so I can hear somebody say you have to buy all of this and it's cheaper than, you know, go buy this $400 or $500, $600 curriculum to do. You don't have to do that. And then you have to do that year after year, and you have to do it for each kid. Don't nobody have that kind of money. I'm gonna send my kids to school because I can't stress out over that. I supplement them, you know, at home, but they don't have to go to school if it's like that. There are a few churches in my area that do damage sales, rummage sales, like twice a year to get books, open toys. Yeah. When I find a good store, Goodwill, if I see bookshelf on the street or something like that, I'm gonna swoop that up. You know, I'm not gonna go and buy that kind of stuff. Even the Sterilite containers. I think I went to Goodwill one day. I had to go a couple times, but I went and I bought like four or five units, whatever's in here, and it was only $10. So, because you know you spend $20 on each one of them things, but I think I only paid 10, and I think I got a discount, so I don't even think it was $10. Just so you know, the insurance will not cover an accident if your baby's car seat is old. Exactly, yeah, you have to check the dates. Exactly. And then if it's been in an accident and you report it that you have a car seat, usually the insurance will pay for another one. So that's something that people don't know. But there are a lot of, you know, still there's a lot of places. The fire department does a lot of things around every state, and they don't. It's not an income requirement. If you have a children's hospital, they usually have a car seat program there. They don't ask you for anything. You just go take a little quick thing, and a lot of times it's in a parking lot, you know, where they do a car seat safety check, because a lot of times the kids are in the car seats, but the buckles are wrong. People will have them buckles way up here. The placement of the buckle should be lower than the child's shoulder, and what happens is they strap them above, so they need to come from behind, not over, and that's where they end up with the straps right here. So, you know, the cities will do the checks and make sure, the hospital, yeah, make sure that the kids are buckled. So when they send a baby home and you see the straps are coming from back here, they should always, when they continue to grow, they should always come from back here. When you sit them down in the car seat, where this guide is, that's where that strap should go in. I don't care if they are taller. Don't buckle it up here, even though there is another guide right there. Don't use that one because they're not tall enough. ABC. Yes, that's what he's doing, this ABC mouse thing. Get out the hamster tube and do something. He's okay. Let me get in here and feed these kids. So, yeah, you, featured activity. Go to the zoo. Oh, that thing got loud. Go to the zoo. You want to learn how to. You want to learn how to bargain with, when it comes to homeschooling. You need to go in there so you can get you some clothes on.
Okay.
Get over here and get y'all something going. Go make you so. I'll go make them some cinnamon rolls, I think.
Yes.
Oh, Lord, I shouldn't have said it out loud because now I'm going to have to do it. Yeah, you just want to bargain and just remember that the dollar amount, it does not have to be anything super expensive. Super expensive in curriculum does not mean quality. Okay, it doesn't mean it's the best quality. You have to be able to search out what you're looking for, what you want. If you want the little basic Evan Moore stuff and that's all you're looking for, fine. Okay. I found that, those are supplements and they're going to get bored with them and it just does not work. It's more or less a waste if they don't need all of them. Some skills, yeah, they may need. We also, because I didn't have a printer and stuff like that, I wasn't using a printer and the internet. So, yeah, I had a lot of those type of things and they served their purpose. But if you have a printer or access to a printer, because I wasn't trying to run around to Office Depot every little, that type of thing. But if you can do that, then you really don't need all that stuff. You just want to find what you're trying to actually teach them, what they're capable of, and just work from that point. Did you turn that up or it went up?
No, I didn't.
Seemed like it just keep getting louder and louder. Looks like it's windy out there. I wonder why that's home coffee. Yeah, other than that, like I said, just real basic. That's how I started, and I just continued to do the same things. I picked up what I like to use, and kept it going. I like going to my sister's apartment to print out things this free. Yeah. And but I'm gonna get into that. Even the budget, like I say, for the ink and stuff like that, it's not a whole lot. I was just grateful that I picked the one or got the type of brand of printer that I got because it's really good on ink and $10 or $5, just depending on how much I have. That can last me for half a year. Same thing with the paper. It's not as expensive as one would think. So I don't want anybody to get that impression that you have to have this huge amount of money. You don't have to have all of that. You don't have to have it because really if you budget that stuff, you really don't have it. And it's like, what's the point if you don't have it? If you don't have it and you still want to do it, yes, it can still be done. You can still homeschool. So, but sometimes it becomes excessive.
What? She said I need to.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm not the one to, like I say, go through and, this person, I'm going to set aside $100 for this person, $100 for that person. That's not, I'm coming. That's not how it works. When I seen that I can do better the way, my method. I just make sure when I do purchase things, I can use it for everybody. That's the number one thing. If I cannot, or at least the majority of them, if I cannot, I will not buy it. It's a waste of money. So that's the best tip I can tell you. If you can use it for the majority of your kids, then it's good. Even if it costs more. But if you cannot, pass it. Libraries would also, yes, you can purchase for curriculum book sales for $1. Yeah. What is your favorite part? Homeschooling. Just being able to, be here for them and see them grow and learn, I think probably one of the first milestones that people hit is reading. When your child is actually reading, it's like, oh, I did that. It's a beautiful thing. Look at all the birds on the trash can. Somebody scared me. So, just being able to see that, just like when you watch the child walk, that's a major, the teeth falling out, if they're at school, you miss all of that. So just that, and then being able to let them understand how, families and relationships actually work, because they don't get that in school. It's forced socialization, and they don't get to understand how relationships and people actually work. Whereas at home, they do. They're able to work through problems, even though they may not agree. In school, it's more or less you need to apologize, and that's it. And there's no explanation. And the other child may be wrong, but your child is forced to apologize. We don't have that at home. I get to really take my time with them, and incorporate my own values. Yeah, a large family. People just start giving you loads of stuff. Yeah, they do. You take advantage of that. Like I say, I went next door. The neighbor gave me stuff. I don't have to buy. You don't have to do all of that. I've learned to buy books, curriculum that I can use over and over through my 7 kids. Yes, exactly. So, yeah. Of course, every child has a different learning style, and you have a different teacher style, and this, that, and the other. But again, if you find something that works, you can modify it, like the reading curriculum. I'm using the specific maker, publisher, and it works, and it works for everybody. They might not all get it at the same time because it's developmental, but if it didn't work for everybody, I wouldn't be using it. Hopefully discussions don't need discussions. Yeah, so you don't need a lot of stuff. Exactly. You want to read and discuss a lot. I just woke up and went back to sleep. Oh, so I'm gonna get in here. My kids are getting up. I need to get them some breakfast going. But hopefully, for the person that asked me that question, I know it's been probably about 3 weeks or so. I got around to it. I'm working questions, I'm working videos, I'm working topics. I'm just trying to find out really what's helpful and what's not helpful. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be a little more intentional. And like I said, things are going to change video-wise. Yeah, they're just, something I've been working towards. That's why I just did the video on the clean. Yes, it is important to clean and declutter, because it becomes overwhelming when you just have so much and you can't really manage it. It's like, what's the point? Are they really using it? Did they really grow from it? Did they really, learn? Did you see? And so the things that I'm using, I'm really seeing the progression. I've seen the transition. I showed you the writing the word on the little tablet to now writing, pages, and saying that their reading program helped with that. Their writing, their language arts program all helped with that. So I know those are good material. I don't see other people using them, but they work very well for us. We had a lot of success with them, and they weren't, the IEWs and the, this, that, and the other. But they work very well, and we're pleased. So don't always think it's that high quality. You got to budget high to get, the best stuff. I have good stuff. I don't pay a lot for it, but it works. So anywho, you all have a blessed day, and I will see you in the next one. And something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, thank you all for the congratulations on the baby. I know I had some of y'all going again, but be careful. I tell you guys, it was my niece, and I shared a picture on Instagram. So yeah, she has the section, and everything is good. So yeah, that has been the latest. I can live through the little ones. I don't need none. All right, peace out.